Anthony Becht, former first-round pick of the New York Jets, college football analyst now for ESPN. He's got the one and only Becht draft board, and he joins us now on the Sports Bash to take a look at the top of this draft here on 97.3 ESPN. And how you been, my man?
Doing well, Gil. How's things, brother?
Everything is good. We are, it's funny. The Eagles the last couple of years, they've been the talk with the draft. They had the number 2 pick. They had the last year they had the 14th pick. This year they're drafting 32nd, so they're not a big topic. Right when the Sixers have kind of taken over, so the draft has kind of been pushed aside. We need your help to tell us a little bit about who are some of your favorite players tomorrow that the listeners should be watching out for at the top of this draft? What are some of the biggest storylines that you are intrigued by with this class?
I think obviously, from a national landscape is how these quarterbacks are going to fall out because, everybody's kind of hyping up. And as we get closer, there's a tremendous value on quarterbacks. Even though they might not be worthy of those positions, the commodity is there for a lot of these teams and pressures to take them. So how will they fall? Where will they go? If you just look at my draft board, everyone would think that I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield because I got him going end of the first round. But, he's got an outstanding skill set. I think the intrigue to me is where will he go, and will teams actually try to move up the board to get him, or does he go in the top 3? I just don't see him being a top 3 quarterback. And my reasoning is pretty simple. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this because everybody's enamored with his accuracy and his moxie and his leadership and all these things. And it has nothing to do with the behaviors or anything off the field for me. It has to do with the system that he played in. And you can go over time and I can reel off a couple statistics from guys like Bryce Petty, Geno Smith, Brandon Whedon that came from the Big 12 that had similar, even better statistics, yet those guys were not capable enough of being potential first-round guys. Some of them were, but in my book weren't. So, how do you look at the system he was in, which is a air raid system, which is a minimal reading system, meaning he's got 1 to 2 to 3, and it's not through a route or coverage progression. It's basically on or off coverage. And then he goes to the next guy, and then he creates with his legs. He's a dynamic college player, but to me, there's a catch-up process that's going to be waiting for him in the NFL, and I think it's not going to be as quick as a lot of people may think. Therefore, I don't have him as a top-tier guy when you look at the draft.
All right, so everybody's got their opinions on these particular quarterbacks. If you were just ranking the guys not based on team fit, how do you rank these quarterbacks that everybody's been yakking about?
Well, if you're not going on team and fit, then I would say that I would rate Sam Darnold number 1, and then Josh Rosen number 2, because if you're not looking at team and fit, your prototypical technician is Rosen. Rosen's a guy that really is not going to move out of the pocket. He's going to stand in there and do the things a prototypical quarterback has done, and he's got a lot of terminologies and concepts that he did in college that will translate well for him and help him compete and do up the next level. I think where these guys obviously get drafted so high, you got to have some type of movement skill, and I'm not talking Lamar Jackson type of movement, but movement around the pocket, similar to what you see Aaron Rodgers, guys that can get out, throw awkward, off-balance throws. Sam Darnold's that guy. You throw his tape on, he's got a lot of that going on with his game. And then the one guy that's got the potential, or at least the highest ceiling, is Josh Allen. And I've called games for all these guys. I've seen them live. I've studied their film. Josh Allen, obviously we know he's coming out of Wyoming, but terminology number 1, West Coast system. A lot of the things that he'll hear and do, he's heard these things before. It's the same offense Carson Wentz ran, and we talked about this when Carson Wentz was coming out of the draft. That's that North Dakota State system. Well, Craig Bowl, as coach, had that there. So, getting some superior athletes, some better linemen, all those things will increase when he gets to the league compared to what he had in Wyoming. And you look at all the tangible things, he's got a big upside when you look at him at the position.
Anthony, this is Billy Osborne. So obviously I've met you many times with Goose. So I got 2 questions for you. Number 1, you got to give a good Goose story out here, because I know you got 100 of them like I do. And there's many of them. And he texted me. He told me to tell you hello. And the second thing is, since we're obviously a great tight end, you probably have a special interest, and you look at those guys a little more closely, and you can understand that position a lot better. Who's your top 2 or 3 tight ends coming out?
Well, I'll start with the tight end position first.
That's the safest. Hopefully you run out of time so you don't got to get into the goose.
Yeah, a lot of those stories got to be off the record.
Of course.
But I love Goose, man. And his golf outings, I miss them so much. He doesn't have them as many as he used to, but those were some fun times. And he always picked on me quite a bit. I guess it's because of my looks, he would always say, but he would definitely, remember, grab the mic and kind of talk about all the guys, and he let me have it. But hey, it's all in good fun. I thought it was always great to go to those events. But the tight end positions, to me, I mean, listen, Gesicki's a kid that he's got a lot of athleticism. He can go get the football. That's what these NFL teams are looking for. He's got good speed in the seams. I'm not even. I'm a guy that was a trenches guy. That was a 3-down guy that could do everything. And I used to hold that against a lot of these tight ends, but you got to open up your eyes a bit on what the league is and where they're turning. And his skill set is what they're looking for. So, I have him ahead of these other players. You look at Hayden Hurst. I think, he's an older, mature player, rugged. It can kind of do everything for you. He reminds me of a Brent Selleck, a younger Brent Selleck when he was in his prime. And he's that kind of guy that you're going to get that will block, catch, and do all those things that you like an old school tight end kind of be like. And then, they get the coin flip guys like the Dallas Goddard kid from South Dakota State who, listen, I mean, he's got athleticism, he's got the size, he's coming from a small school, all those things. Do they translate well? I mean, we had a guy, I think, last year in the 3rd round for the Bears. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think he was a Division III player that got drafted. And, he didn't really stick out as much as people thought what his tape showed. So, those are probably the most 2 intriguing guys that I'd say are at least worthy to be spoken about in the 1st round.
Hey, Ant, who's your bust? Who's the guy that people like you don't?
Wow, bust. I never want to see guys bust. I want to see all these guys succeed. There's a lot of hype around different players and what they'll accomplish in this league. I mean, listen, we got 5 quarterbacks. Odds are 75% of those guys are not going to get it done in the NFL. That's just what it is. I mean, those are the numbers. It's hard to get done. I think the two players, and we talked about one with Baker Mayfield. I don't know if he busts, but I don't know if he's going to live up to that draft number. And then Lamar Jackson, he's an interesting prospect because he is truly an exceptional athlete. And, he is really coming along in the passing game. The question is, will a team buy in to his skill set and go through the bumps to get him to where he needs to be? And I just, listen, it's just tough to see teams doing that these days because of the coaching turnovers and all the things that come into the short-term part of this business that I just don't know if he'll just get on the field and everybody thinks he's going to be Deshaun Watson. I mean, to me, that's a terrible comparable because Deshaun Watson, number one, his intelligence level is superior. He graduated in 3 years in college. And number two, he was a superior passer. I mean, he had touch. He can make all the throws. Lamar Jackson's intriguing with his legs. He's got great wiggle. He understands how to run and not take hits. And you look at his passing, it's improved. But, again, he's got to get better in that facet. And, I don't know if teams will commit to him like maybe the Atlanta Falcons did when they took Mike Vick several years ago.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to see the top 5 players by Anthony at each position, follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Becht. I'll ask you, the key is really number 2. If you're the Giants, do you take Barkley or do you go quarterback?
Man, I'll tell you, it's a tough call, and I think some of the things that the conversations I feel myself talking about is, Gettleman's 65 years old. I mean, how much longer does he want to do this in the GM game? Is he trying to leave a legacy or is he trying to do something while he's there? And if he's trying to do something where he's there, then does he try to get something more out of the tank, out of Eli, and just put more pieces around him and kind of let it fly with him at the quarterback position? Saquon Barkley, to me, is an outstanding back. There's obviously a separation between him and some of those other backs, but a lot of those other backs are really good. To me, you can get that value in the 2nd round for a guy that can be just as good and complement the quarterback position if you're going to try to go with Eli another, 1-2 years. I think the quarterback position makes most sense. I'd say the unsexy or the least sexy pick for them, which would make a lot of sense if they're trying to make a move, is they can get the running back in the second round early, and then they can go and get themselves Quentin Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame, which would shock a lot of people. But you're talking about now left tackle secured, right tackle center is good. Now they get themselves a plug-and-play guard, and you can work with the tackle position on the right-hand side and utilize your tight end to help you there. That tells me they're trying to make this transition quick. But the only player to me in this draft that you would take, that you say he's the best available that high, that, you know, regardless of what you need, is Bradley Chubb. And I don't think they're going to take Chubb that high. So I'm going to lean on the quarterback. I'm going to stick with it. I have him taking Rosen. I think it makes sense. He's the kind of guy, you're building up the line and you're trying to get things done quicker. You can still get a premium back in the backfield in the second round. And now you got a piece to the puzzle that's there that can learn from Eli. Very similar quarterbacks when you're talking about pure pocket guys.
Anthony Becht, former NFL tight end, ESPN college football analyst. Check out Becht's draft board, Anthony_Becht on Twitter, to find out who he thinks is best for your favorite team. All right, pal, I'm sure you'll be enjoying the draft. We'll catch up soon.
You got it, guys. Take care. Enjoy.